The lights of Nexus Prime sparkled like stars in the void of space. The massive trade station spun slowly, its metal arms reaching out like a giant wheel. Inside, thousands of aliens moved through the busy corridors. Blue-skinned Zephyrians talked, in high voices. Tall, rocky granite folks stomped with heavy steps. Crystal beings called Vorthak clicked and chimed as they walked, but today something was different. The usual noise of the station had grown quiet. Aliens moved quickly through the main shopping area, their eyes wide with fear. They pressed against the walls, trying to stay as far as possible from the center of the corridor. There, walking alone, was a figure that made every alien's blood run cold. She looked almost human at first glance. 2 arms, 2 legs, a face with eyes and a mouth. But her skin was pale white like fresh snow. Her hair was white too, flowing down her back like silver water. Most strange of all were her eyes. They glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to see right through you. This was Hannah, one of the White Fox, the most feared beings in all of known space. As Hannah walked, the aliens around her began to shake. A young Zephyrian merchant grabbed his head and cried out in pain. His blue skin turned dark purple as he fell to his knees. "Get it away," he screamed. "It's in my head." The crystalline Vorthak nearby started to crack. Their usually perfect crystal bodies showed dark lines running through them. They made high, painful sounds as they backed away. One of them shattered completely, its pieces scattering across the floor, even the mighty granite folk who feared. Nothing began to tremble. Their rock-hard skin started to crumble at the edges. They turned and ran, their heavy steps shaking the station floor. Hannah stopped walking. She had seen this happen 1,000 times before, but it still hurt. She closed her glowing eyes and took a deep breath. "I'm sorry," she whispered to the fleeing aliens. "I don't mean to hurt you." But they couldn't hear her over their own screams of terror. Station security arrived quickly. They wore full body armor and carried energy weapons, but even they kept their distance. The security chief, a green-skinned Quilarian named Vexstar, spoke through a loudspeaker from 50 feet away. "White Fox," his voice shook even through the speaker. "You are causing a disturbance. Move along immediately." Hannah nodded sadly. She had only wanted to buy some food and supplies. But everywhere she went, this happened. She was tired of being alone. Tired of being feared. Tired of being treated like a monster. As she walked toward the shopping district, the crowds parted like water. Store owners slammed their doors shut. Parents grabbed their children and ran. Even the cleaning robots stopped working and rolled away quickly. Hannah reached a small supply shop. Through the window she could see the owner, a nervous Trilarian. With 4 arms, he was shaking as he put up a closed sign. When he saw Hannah looking at him, he fell backward and crawled away from the window. "Please," Hannah said softly, knowing he couldn't hear her through the thick glass. "I just need some food." The Trilarian's 4 arms covered his face. His mouth moved, but no sound came out. The fear was too strong. Hannah turned away. Her glowing eyes were starting to fill with tears. She had lived for 300 years, and it was always the same. No matter where she went in the galaxy, no matter how careful she was, her very presence brought pain to others. She walked to the stations cantina, hoping to find a quiet corner where she could sit alone. The cantina was usually full of noise and laughter. Aliens from dozens of worlds would eat, drink, and tell stories. But when Hannah entered, the room went completely silent. Every alien in the cantina turned to look at her. Their faces showed the same expression, pure terror. One by one, they began to leave. Some ran for the exits. Others hid behind tables and chairs. A few simply fainted from fear. Within minutes, the cantina was empty except for Hannah and one very nervous bartender. The bartender, a 6-legged hexapod, was trying to hide behind the bar, but his large eyes kept peeking over the top to watch her. Hannah sat down at a table in the corner. Every chair around her was empty. In fact, every chair in the entire cantina was empty now. She put her head in her hands and sighed. "This is my life," she thought, "always alone. Always feared. Always causing pain just by existing." The bartender managed to find his voice. What do you want?" he he stammered. Just some water, Hannah said quietly. Please! The bartender's 6 legs shook as he poured water into a glass. He used a long metal pole to push the glass across the floor toward her table. He wouldn't get any closer than 20 feet. Hannah picked up the glass and drank slowly. The water tasted like sadness. Outside the cantina, she could hear aliens talking in frightened whispers. They used words like Mind Ripper and Thought Stealer and the White Death. These names hurt more than any weapon could. She wasn't evil. She had never wanted to hurt anyone. But her people, the White Fox, had abilities that other species couldn't handle. They could read thoughts, feel emotions, and touch minds. To most aliens, this felt like being attacked by an invisible force. Long ago, her people had tried to help other species. They had been healers and teachers, but fear had turned them into enemies. One by one, the White Fox had been hunted down and killed. Now, Hannah believed she was the last one left in the entire galaxy. As she sat in the empty cantina, drinking her water alone, Hannah wondered if this was how she would spend the rest of her very long life. Forever moving from place to place, forever feared and hated. Forever alone? She didn't know that everything was about to change. At that very moment, a human ship was docking at Nexus Prime, and humans, as it turned out, were very different from every other species in the galaxy. The human ship Morning Star locked onto Nexus Prime's docking bay with a soft thud. Inside the ship, Taemin stretched his arms and yawned. The long journey from Earth had taken 3 weeks, and he was ready to walk on solid ground again. Finally, he said to himself, looking out at the busy station. Time to make some deals. Taemin was a trader. He bought and sold goods across the galaxy, moving from station to station in his small but reliable ship. He had been doing this job for 5 years now, and he loved meeting new species and seeing new worlds. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the airlock. The station's air tasted different from his ship's recycled atmosphere. It was fresher, with hints of different alien scents mixed together. He smiled and walked into the main corridor. The first thing he noticed was how quiet everything was. Usually, trade stations were full of noise and activity, but today aliens moved quickly and quietly through the halls. They seemed nervous about something. Strange, Taemin thought. Maybe there's some kind of emergency. He walked toward the central plaza, where most of the shops were located. Along the way, he passed groups of aliens talking in low voices. He caught words like dangerous and stay away and still here. A blue-skinned Zephyrian merchant rushed past him, carrying a large box. The alien looked scared and kept looking over his shoulder. Excuse me, Taemin called out. Is everything okay? The Zephyrian stopped and stared at him with wide eyes. You're human, he said, sounding surprised. You just arrived, didn't you? Yes, I did. Why? What's happening? The Zephyrian looked around nervously. There's a White Fox on the station. It's been here for hours. Everyone is afraid to go near the cantina. White Fox? Taemin had never heard of them before. What's that? The alien's face went pale. You don't know? They're the most dangerous beings in space. They can get inside your mind and tear your thoughts apart. Just being near one can drive you insane? Taemin frowned. That sounds terrible. Where is it now? In the cantina. It's been sitting there alone for hours. No one dares to go in, the Zephyrian shuddered. I'm getting as far away as possible. You should too. The alien hurried away, leaving Taemin standing in the corridor. He was curious now. He had traveled all over the galaxy and had never seen anything that scared all the aliens this much. He decided to take a look for himself. The cantina was easy to find. There was a crowd of aliens standing outside, but they were all keeping their distance. They whispered to each other and pointed at the entrance. Some of them looked like they wanted to run away. Is it still in there? One alien asked. Yes, another replied. It hasn't moved for an hour. Taemin pushed through the crowd and walked toward the cantina entrance. Behind him, he heard gasps of surprise. Stop, an alien called out. Don't go in there. It will kill you. Another shouted. But Taemin was already walking through the door. The cantina was completely empty except for one figure sitting alone in the corner. Taman saw a woman with white skin and white hair. Her eyes glowed with a soft blue light. She was holding a glass of water and staring down at the table. She looked sad and tired. Not dangerous at all, huh? Taman said quietly. That's the terrifying white fox. The woman looked up at him. Her glowing eyes went wide with shock. She had heard his footsteps, but she couldn't believe someone was actually walking toward her. No, she said quickly. Stay back. I don't want to hurt you. But Taman kept walking. He pulled out a chair and sat down across from her. Hi there, he said with a friendly smile. I'm Taman. Mind if I join you? Hannah stared at him in complete disbelief. No one had willingly sat near her in over 50 years. You, Dot? You're not afraid? Should I be? Taman asked. He looked her over carefully. She seemed nervous and sad, but not dangerous. You look pretty normal to me. I'm a white fox, Hannah said, as if that explained everything. I can read your thoughts. I can feel your emotions. My presence should be causing you terrible pain right now. Taman tilted his head. Really? I don't feel any pain. I feel fine. This was impossible. Every species in the galaxy suffered when they got close to a white fox. The telepathic abilities of her people were too strong for other minds to handle. But this human was sitting right across from her and acting like nothing was wrong. What are you? Hannah asked quietly. I'm human, Taman said. From Earth, we're pretty new to the galactic community. Behind the bar, the six-legged bartender was peeking over the counter. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The human was actually talking to the white fox like it was a normal conversation. Can I buy you a drink? Taman asked. You look like you could use a friend? Hannah's eyes filled with tears. A friend, she whispered. I haven't had a friend in so long. Taman waved to the bartender. 2 glasses of whatever you recommend, he called out. The bartender's 6 legs almost gave out. You ... You want to drink with ... with that? He stammered. Her name is Hannah, Taman said firmly. And yes, I want to drink with her. The bartender reluctantly prepared 2 drinks. He used his long metal pole to push them across the floor, still too scared to get close. Taman picked up both glasses and handed one to Hannah. So, he said, what's your story? Why is everyone so afraid of you? Hannah took the glass with shaking hands. My people, she began slowly, we have abilities that other species can't handle. When I try to talk to someone, my thoughts accidentally push into their mind. It hurts them, it scares them. But it doesn't hurt me, Taman pointed out. No, Hannah said, still amazed. It doesn't. I can feel your mind, but it's single quotes s ... different, stronger somehow, more flexible. Outside the cantina, more aliens had gathered. They were all staring through the windows at the impossible sight. A human and a white fox sitting together like old friends. How is this possible? One alien whispered. The human must be under some kind of spell, another suggested, but Taman wasn't under any spell. He was just curious and friendly, the way humans often were. He didn't understand why everyone was so afraid of this lonely woman. Tell me about your people, he said. Are there others like you? Hannah's face grew sad. I think I'm the last one. The other species hunted us down over the years. They were afraid of what we could do, so they killed us to feel safe. That's terrible, Taman said. You don't seem dangerous to me. I'm not, Hannah said. We never wanted to hurt anyone. We just wanted to live in peace. They talked for another hour. Taman learned about the white fox and their tragic history. Hannah learned about humans and their strange immunity to her abilities. For the first time in decades, she felt hope. Maybe, just maybe, she wasn't completely alone in the universe after all. Outside, the crowd of aliens continued to watch in amazement. Some of them were already sending messages to their governments about this incredible development. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were very different from every other species. And that difference might change everything. The next morning, Taman returned to the cantina. He had slept well in his ship, but he couldn't stop thinking about Hannah. He had never met someone so lonely and sad. He wanted to help her somehow. When he arrived, he found Hannah sitting in the Same corner table. She looked like she hadn't slept at all. Her glowing blue eyes were tired and her white hair was messy. "Good morning," Taemin said, sitting down across from her. "Did you sleep okay?" Hannah shook her head. "I don't sleep much. Too many nightmares." The bartender saw Taemin arrive and quickly prepared 2 cups of coffee. He still used his long pole to push them across the floor, but he seemed less scared than yesterday. "Thank you," Taemin called out to him. The bartender nodded nervously. "You?" "Came back," Hannah said quietly. "I thought maybe yesterday was just a dream." "Of course I came back," Taemin said. "I said I wanted to be your friend, didn't I?" Hannah smiled for the first time in years. It was a small smile, but it made her whole. Face looked different, less sad, more hopeful. "Can I ask you something?" Taemin said. "Yesterday you said you think you're the last white fox. What happened to the others?" Hannah's smile disappeared. She stared down at her coffee cup. "It's a long story, a sad story." "I have time," Taemin said gently. Hannah took a deep breath. "Long ago, my people were very different. We lived on a beautiful planet called Shirain. It had white mountains and silver lakes. We were healers and teachers." "Healers?" Taemin asked. "Yes, we used our abilities to help other species. We could touch their minds and take away their pain. We could heal mental wounds that doctors couldn't fix. We thought we were helping." Hannah's voice became quieter. "But the other species became afraid of us. They said we were too powerful. They said we could control their thoughts and make them do things they didn't want to do." "Could you?" Taemin asked. "Some of us could," Hannah admitted. "But we had laws against it. We only used our abilities to help, never to harm or control." She paused and wiped her eyes. "But fear is stronger than truth. The other species started to attack us. They said we were dangerous. They said the galaxy would be safer without us. What did you do?" "We tried to explain. We showed them our laws and our peaceful ways. But they wouldn't listen. They formed armies and came to our world with weapons and ships." Hannah's hands shook as she held her coffee cup. "The war lasted for 3 years. We didn't want to fight, but we had to defend ourselves. Some of my people used their abilities as weapons. They reached into enemy minds and caused pain and madness. That just made things worse," Taemin guessed. "Much worse. It proved to the other species that we were as dangerous as they feared. More species joined the war against us. Soon the entire galaxy was hunting us." Taemin felt sick. "What happened to your planet?" "They destroyed it," Hannah whispered. "They used planet-killer weapons and turned Shirain into dust. Billions of my people died in seconds." The cantina was very quiet. Even the bartender had stopped moving to listen to the story. "Some of us escaped," Hannah continued. "We scattered across the galaxy, hiding wherever we could. But the hunt never stopped. Every few years they would find one of us, and they would kill us." "How many are left?" Taemin asked. "I don't know. I haven't seen another white fox in over 100 years. I think I might be the only one." Taemin reached across the table and took her hand. Hannah gasped. No one had touched her in decades. "I'm sorry," he said. "That should never have happened. To your people." "You're not afraid to touch me?" Hannah asked. "No, you're just a person who has been hurt very badly." At that moment, the cantina door opened. A young human woman walked in. She had short black hair and wore a blue jumpsuit. She looked around the empty room and spotted Taemin. "There you are," she said, walking over. "I've been looking for you." This was Mi-young, Taemin's business partner. She worked as an engineer and helped him fix his ship. She had been doing repairs while he explored the station. "Mi-young," Taemin said. "Meet Hannah. Hannah, this is Mi-young." Mi-young sat down at the table without hesitation. "Nice to meet you," she said to Hannah. "Taemin told me about you." Hannah stared at her in shock. "You're not afraid either? Should I be?" Mi-young asked. She looked at Hannah carefully. "You look sad, but not scary." "I'm a white fox," Hannah said, as if that explained everything. "So?" Mi-young shrugged. "I'm an engineer. We all have our jobs." Hannah almost laughed. These humans were so strange. They treated her like she was normal, like she was just another person. The other species run away from me, Hannah explained. My mind touches theirs and it hurts them, but you two don't seem affected at all. Mi-young frowned. That's weird. I can feel something, but it's not painful. It's more like background noise. Background noise? Hannah asked. Yeah, like when you're in a crowded room and you can hear lots of voices, but you can't make out what anyone is saying. This was fascinating. Hannah focused her abilities on Mi-young, trying to read her thoughts. But the human mind was unlike anything she had ever encountered. It was chaotic and busy, full of random thoughts and memories. It was like trying to read a book while riding a wild horse. Your minds are different, Hannah said. Other species have ordered thoughts. Clean and simple, but human minds are messy. Thanks a lot, Mi-young said with a grin. No, I mean it in a good way, Hannah said quickly. Your messy thoughts protect you. When I try to read your mind, I get lost in all the chaos. It's like trying to break down a wall that keeps rebuilding itself. Taemin was excited. So that's why we're not afraid of you. Our minds are naturally protected. It seems that way, Hannah said. In 300 years, I have never met a species that could resist my abilities, but humans are different. Word about the humans was spreading through the station. Aliens gathered in groups, talking in worried voices. Some of them thought the humans were dangerous. Others thought they might be the key to solving the white fox problem. Station security was nervous too. They had been watching the cantina all morning, waiting for something terrible to happen. But nothing bad occurred. The humans just sat and talked with the white fox like she was a normal person. This changes everything, Mi-young said. If humans can interact with white fox safely, maybe we can help bridge the gap between your people and the rest of the galaxy. What do you mean? Hannah asked. I mean, maybe you don't have to be alone anymore, Taemin said. Maybe there's a way for you to have a normal life. Hannah's eyes filled with tears again. But this time they were tears of hope instead of sadness. Do you really think that's possible? She asked. I don't know, Taemin said honestly. But I think it's worth trying. Outside the cantina, more aliens were gathering. Some of them were calling their governments. Others were sending messages to news networks. The galaxy was about to learn that everything they thought they knew about humans and white fox was wrong, and that knowledge would change the fate of both species forever. By the third day, news of the humans and the white fox had spread across the galaxy. Every major news network was talking about it. Government officials were holding emergency meetings. Scientists were asking questions they had never thought to ask before. Station Administrator Vexstar was getting hundreds of calls every hour. His green skin had turned pale from stress. He had been running Nexus Prime for 20 years, and nothing like this had ever happened before. Sir, his assistant said, the Galactic Council is calling again, Vexstar groaned. Put them through. The hologram of Counselor Vex appeared above his desk. The tall, gray alien looked very serious. Administrator, we need to talk to these humans immediately. They're still in the cantina, Vexstar said. They spend every day there with the white fox. No one else will go near them. Perfect. Set up a meeting. The council has a proposition. An hour later, Vexstar walked nervously into the cantina. He had never been this close to a white fox before. His hands shook as he approached the table where Taemin, Mi-young, and Hannah were sitting. Excuse me, he said from 10 feet away. I need to speak with the humans. You can speak with all of us, Taemin said. Hannah is our friend. Vexstar S. 3 eyes went wide. Friends with that thing? Her name is Hannah, Mi-young said firmly. And yes, she's our friend. I don't understand, Vexstar said. How are you not terrified? Because there's nothing to be terrified of, Taemin said. She's just a person who has been treated badly for too long. Vexstar tried to stay calm. The Galactic Council wants to meet with you. They have an offer. What kind of offer? Mi-young asked. They want to hire you as translators to help them communicate with the white fox, Hannah laughed bitterly. The council that has ignored me for 50 years? The council that let my people be hunted to extinction? Now they want to talk? The situation has changed, Vexstar said. Your interaction with the humans proves that peaceful contact is possible. What's in it for us? Taemin asked. Money, a lot of money. And protection. The council will make sure you're safe. Before anyone could answer, the cantina door opened again. A tall human man in a dark suit walked in. He had gray hair and a serious face. He looked around the room and walked straight to their table. Hello, he said. I'm Dong Hyan. I represent the Earth Diplomatic Service. Tae-Min stood up. Earth sent a diplomat? How did they know what was happening? The same way everyone else knows, Dong Hyan said. It's all over the galactic news. A human trader befriends the last white fox. It's the biggest story in 100 years. He sat down at the table. The Earth government is very interested in this situation. Why? Hannah asked. Because it represents an opportunity, Dong Hyan said. For both our species. Vexstar coughed nervously. The Council's offer is very generous. They just want to use the humans as go-betweens, nothing more. That's not enough, Dong Hyan said. The Council has watched the white fox suffer for centuries. They've done nothing to help. Now they want to use humans to clean up their mess. What do you suggest? Young asked. Full diplomatic recognition, Dong Hyan said. The white fox should be given the same rights as any other species. They should have representation in the Council. They should be protected by galactic law? Vexstar's 3 eyes bulged. That's impossible. The other species would never agree to it. They might, if humans support it, Dong Hyan said. We're new to the galactic community. We don't have the same fears and prejudices as the older species. At that moment, another human entered the cantina. She was a young woman with long black hair and thick glasses. She carried a tablet and looked very excited. Sorry I'm late, she said, sitting down. I'm Sora, I'm a xenobiologist. A what? Hannah asked. I study alien life forms, Sora explained. I've been reading everything I can about the white fox. Your species is fascinating. Fascinating? Hannah said. Most people think we're monsters. That's because they don't understand, Sora said. Your telepathic abilities aren't evil. They're just different. Like how some species can see ultraviolet light and others can't. She turned to the others. I've been thinking about this for days. The reason other species fear the white fox is because their minds can't handle the telepathic contact. But human minds are different. How different? Dong Hyan asked. Very different. Sora said, human brains are incredibly complex. We have millions of random thoughts every day. We daydream, we worry, we remember things that never happened. Our minds are chaos. That's what I told them, Hannah said. Human thoughts are messy. Exactly, Sora said. And that messiness protects you. When a white fox tries to read a human mind, they get lost in all the noise. It's like trying to tune into a radio station while standing next to a thunderstorm. Vexstar was getting nervous. This is all very interesting, but the Council is waiting for an answer. Will you work as translators or not? No, Dong Hyan said firmly. We won't be the Council's servants. If they want human help, they need to treat the white fox as equals. That will never happen, Vexstar said. The other species are too afraid. Then we'll have to change their minds, Sora said. We need to prove that the white fox aren't dangerous. We need to show the galaxy that peaceful coexistence is possible. How? Taemin asked. With tests, Sora said. Scientific tests. We'll demonstrate that humans can work with white fox safely. We'll show that the fear is based on misunderstanding, not real danger. Hannah looked worried. What kind of tests? Nothing harmful, Sora said quickly. Just demonstrations. Show other species that you can use your abilities without hurting humans. I don't know, Hannah said. What if something goes wrong? What if I accidentally hurt someone? You won't, Mi-young said. We trust you. But what if the other species still don't accept us? Hannah asked. What if they decide that humans are dangerous too? Then we'll face that together, Tenmin said. You're not alone anymore, Dong Haiyan nodded. The Earth government is prepared to offer full support. We'll provide ships, equipment, and personnel, whatever you need. Vexstar shook his head. The council won't like this. They want simple solutions, not complicated negotiations. The council has had centuries to find a simple solution, Dong Haiyan said. They failed. Now it's time to try something new. What about the other species? Vexstar asked. Many of them think humans are crazy for not fearing the white fox. Some think you're under some kind of mind control. Let them think what they want, Sora said. We'll prove them wrong. Hannah looked around the table at the humans who were willing to risk everything to help her. For the first time in her life, she felt like she belonged somewhere. Okay, she said quietly. I'll do the tests. But I want to be clear about something. I'm not just fighting for myself. If there are other white fox out there, hiding in the shadows, I want them to know it's safe to come out. There are others, Taemin asked. I hope so, Hannah said. I've been looking for them for decades. Maybe when they see that humans accept us, they'll finally show themselves. Dong Haiyan smiled. Then we're not just making history, we're making hope. Outside the cantina, crowds of aliens continued to watch and whisper. Some were excited about the possibility of peace. Others were terrified that the humans were making a terrible mistake. The galaxy was about to find out which side was right. 2 weeks later, Hannah found herself on a research station called Deep Space Nine. The station was built just for these tests. It had thick walls, strong shields, and emergency systems everywhere. The Galactic Council wanted to be very careful. Hannah stood in a white room with cameras watching her from every angle. Through the thick glass window, she could see dozens of aliens observing her. They all looked nervous and ready to run away. Are you ready? Asked Junho, the human psychologist who was leading the tests. Hannah nodded, but she felt scared. What? If I hurt someone by accident? You won't, Junho said calmly. We'll start with simple tests. Just basic mind reading with willing volunteers. The first volunteer was a young human named Kyung-soo. He was a student from Earth who had volunteered to help with the tests. He sat down in a chair across from Hannah. Just try to read my thoughts, he said with a smile. I'll think about something simple. Hannah closed her glowing eyes and reached out with her mind. She touched Kyung-soo's thoughts gently. His mind was full of chaos, just like all human minds. But she could still pick out what he was thinking about. You're thinking about your dog, Hannah said. A small brown dog named Benny. He likes to chase his tail. Kyung-soo laughed. That's right. Did it hurt when you read my mind? No, Kyung-soo said. It felt like someone was gently touching my forehead. Nothing painful at all. Through the glass, the watching aliens murmured in amazement. A Zephyrian scientist spoke into his recorder. Subject shows no signs of pain or distress. This is unprecedented. The next test was more difficult. Hannah had to read the emotions of 5 different humans at the same time. She sat in the center of a circle while the humans thought about different feelings. I feel happiness from Minho, Hannah said. He's thinking about his wedding day. Fear from Yunji, she's worried about an exam. Sadness from Woojin, he misses his grandmother. All 5 humans confirmed that she was right. And none of them seemed hurt or afraid. Impossible, whispered a Granite Folk observer. When a white fox reads multiple minds, it should cause mass hysteria. But the humans just sat there, calm and relaxed. The third test was the most dangerous. Hannah had to try to influence a human's thoughts. This was the ability that scared other species the most, the power to control minds. I don't want to do this, Hannah said. What if I accidentally make him do something terrible? You won't, said a new voice. Everyone turned to see a calm man with gray hair enter the room. This was Hyeon Woo, a meditation teacher from Earth. I've been studying your abilities, Hyun Woo said to Hannah. I think the problem isn't that you're too powerful. The problem is that you don't have proper control. What do you mean? Hannah asked. Your people never learned to control their abilities, Hyeon Woo explained. You were born with great power, but no one taught you how to use it properly. It's like trying to paint with a fire hose instead of a paintbrush. He sat down across from her. Try to influence my thoughts, but do it gently, like you're whispering instead of shouting. Hannah was nervous, but she tried. She reached into Hyun-woo's mind very carefully. Instead of pushing her thoughts into his head, she tried to suggest them quietly. Think about the color blue, she whispered with her mind. Hyun-woo smiled. I'm thinking about the ocean. It's very blue and peaceful. Did she control you? Junho asked. No, Hyun-woo said. She suggested something, and I chose to think about it. It felt like a gentle request, not a command. The watching aliens were shocked. A white fox had used mind control on a human, and the human was fine. He was smiling and relaxed. This changes everything, said Counselor Dex through the intercom. If white fox can learn to control their abilities, they might not be dangerous after all. But the biggest surprise came during the fourth test. Hyun-woo had been teaching Hannah meditation techniques to help her control her powers. As she got better at controlling them, something unexpected happened. I can turn them off, Hannah said in amazement. I can actually turn off my telepathic abilities. She demonstrated by sitting next to a Zephyrian volunteer who was behind a protective barrier. Usually the alien would start screaming in pain, but nothing happened. How do you feel? Junho asked the Zephyrian. Normal, the alien said in surprise. I don't feel any mental intrusion at all, Hannah smiled. For the first time in my life, I can choose when to use my abilities. I don't have to hurt people just by existing. The final test was the most important. Hannah had to demonstrate her full powers on a human volunteer. She would read their deepest memories, feel their strongest emotions, and briefly link their consciousness with hers. The volunteer was Taemin. He had insisted on doing the most dangerous test himself. Are you sure about this? Hannah asked. This is what drives other species insane. I trust you, Taemin said simply. Hannah took a deep breath and opened her mind completely. She dove deep into Taemin's thoughts and memories. She saw his childhood on Earth, his first trip to space, his loneliness before he met her. She felt his emotions, his kindness, his curiosity, his genuine care for her. For a moment, their minds were completely connected. They shared the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same consciousness. Then Hannah pulled back gently. How do you feel? She asked. Tae-min was quiet for a moment. That was beautiful, he said finally. I could feel what it was like to be you. I could see your memories, your pain, your hope. It didn't hurt at all. It was like seeing the world through different eyes. The room was completely silent. Even the watching aliens had stopped whispering. In all our records, Counselor Dex said slowly, no species has ever survived a full mental link with a white fox. The human should be dead or insane. But I'm fine, Taemin said. Better than fine. I understand Hannah better now. And I think she understands me too, Hannah nodded. Human minds are incredible. They're so complex and flexible. When I link with Taemin, his mind adapts to mine. We can share consciousness without either of us being hurt. Dr. Sora, who had been taking notes throughout all the tests, looked up excitedly. This proves our theory. Human brain structure is uniquely compatible with white fox telepathy. We can work together in ways that no other species can. What does this mean? Asked Vexstar, who had been watching nervously. It means the age of fear is over, Junho said. White fox aren't monsters. They're just people with abilities that no one understood before. It also means, Hyun-woo added, that with proper training, white fox can learn to control their powers. They can choose when to use them and when to keep them hidden. Hannah stood up and looked through the glass at all the watching aliens. For the first time in her life, they weren't running away in terror. They were curious. Some even looked hopeful. I want to say something, she announced. To any white fox who might be watching this broadcast. You don't have to hide anymore. There are people who accept us, people who want to help us. We can have normal lives again. Across the galaxy, in hidden places where the last white fox had been living in fear, glowing eyes watched the broadcast with tears of hope. The tests were over. The results were clear. Humans and White Fox could work together safely. Now came the hard part, convincing the rest of the galaxy to accept this new reality. 6 months after the tests, Hana stood on the observation deck of Haven Station, the first integrated facility in the galaxy. Through the large windows, she could see ships from dozens of different species docking peacefully. But what made her heart sing was the sight of 3 other White Fox walking through the corridors below. "Still can't believe it sometimes," said Tae-min, joining her at the window. 6 months ago, you thought you were the last of your kind? And now there are 4 of us here, Hannah said with a smile. With more coming every week. It had started 2 weeks after the test broadcasts. A young White Fox named Sung-ho had arrived at Nexus Prime, scared and alone. He had been hiding on a mining planet for 50 years, afraid to show himself. But when he saw Hannah working peacefully with humans, he found the courage to come out. Then came Yoon-hee, an elderly White Fox who had been living as a hermit on a distant moon. She was followed by Jinwoo, barely an adult, who had been raised by robots after his parents were killed. "The human integration program is working better than anyone expected," said Mi-young, walking up to them. She now worked as Haven Station's chief engineer. "We have humans working as liaison officers on 12 different worlds. The Terravolpi's Accord had been signed 3 months ago. It was a historic document that gave White Fox full rights as citizens of the galaxy. They could travel freely, own property, and work in any profession they chose. In return, they agreed to work only with trained human partners when using their abilities. Speaking of which," Mi-young continued, "the Council just approved funding for 10 more integration centers. They want to build them in every major sector," Hannah nodded. The Galactic Council had been surprised by how quickly other species accepted the new arrangement. Once they saw that White Fox could control their abilities, the fear began to fade. It helped that humans were always present as intermediaries, making everyone feel safer. "Has there been any word from the deep space expedition?" Tae-min asked. "Actually, yes," Mi-young said excitedly. Dong Hyan sent a message this morning. They found ruins on 3 different worlds, and all of them have White Fox technology. This was the other big discovery? During their conversations, Hannah had remembered ancient stories about ruins left by her ancestors. The White Fox had been spacefaring for thousands of years before other species even left their homeworlds. They had built cities on distant planets and left behind advanced technology. "What kind of technology?" Hannah asked. "Faster than light communication, for one thing," Mi-young said. "The kind that works instantly across the galaxy. And some kind of healing device that can repair brain damage." "My people were always healers," Hannah said softly. "Even our technology was meant to help others." The door to the observation deck opened and Sora walked in. She was now the head of the White Fox Research Institute, studying how their abilities worked and how to help them control their powers better. "Perfect timing," Sora said. "I wanted to tell you about the new students. More humans want to learn telepathy?" Tae-min asked. "Not just humans," Sora said with a grin. "We have 3 Zephyrians, 2 Granite Folk, and even a Vorthek who want to try the new training program." This was perhaps the most surprising development. Minji, a human cultural anthropologist, had developed a program where other species could learn to interact safely with White Fox through human meditation techniques. It didn't make them immune like humans were, but it helped them manage their fear and understand what was happening. "The Vorthek is especially interesting," Sora continued. "Her name is Crystal Song, and she says that White Fox abilities feel like music to her people. Beautiful, complex music." "That's wonderful," Hannah said. "Maybe in time we won't need human intermediaries at all." "Maybe," Sora agreed. "But even if that happens, I think humans and White Fox will always be special partners. Our minds just work well together." At that moment, the station's intercom crackled to life. "Attention all residents. The transport ship New Hope is arriving from the Outer Rim. We have 5 more White Fox aboard, requesting sanctuary." Hannah's eyes filled with tears of joy. 5 more. Every week, more of her people came out of hiding. The galaxy was becoming a safer place for them. I should go greet them, Hannah said. They'll be scared and confused. I'll come with you, Taemin said. Having a friendly human face always helps. They walked through the station's corridors together. The halls were busy with activity. Humans and White Fox worked side by side in shops and offices. Children of different species played together in the parks. It was the kind of integrated society that had seemed impossible just a year ago. At the docking bay, they met the 5 new arrivals. They were thin and scared like all the refugees who came to Haven Station. But their eyes lit up when they saw. Hannah, is it real? Asked one of them, a middle-aged white fox named Kyungmin. Are we really safe here? Yes, Hannah said, taking his hand. You're safe, you're home. As they welcomed the new arrivals, Hannah thought about how much had changed. A year ago she had been alone, feared, and hopeless. Now she was surrounded by her own people and by humans who had become like family. There's something else, Taemin said quietly. The Earth government approved my proposal. They want to establish a permanent White Fox embassy on Earth. An embassy? Hannah asked. With you as the first ambassador, Taemin said with a smile. If you want the job? Hannah looked around at the bustling station, at the White Fox children, playing with human children, at the peaceful coexistence that had seemed impossible. I accept, she said. But only if you'll be my liaison officer. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, Taemin said. That evening, Hannah stood once again on the observation deck. But this time she wasn't alone. Suho, Yoonhee, and Jinwoo were with her, along with several human friends. They watched as more ships arrived, bringing supplies, visitors, and occasionally more White Fox refugees. What do you think happens next? Asked Jinwoo. He was young and still amazed by all the changes. I think, Hannah said, we build a better galaxy. One where no species has to live in fear because they're different. The other species are starting to understand, added Yoonhee. Fear was just ignorance. Once they learned the truth, most of them became accepting. Some are even grateful, Suho said. The healing technology we've shared has helped millions of people, Taemin nodded. Humans have always believed that. Diversity makes us stronger. The galaxy is learning that lesson too. As if to prove his point, a Zephyrian child ran up to them, followed by a young white fox and a human girl. They were all holding hands and laughing. See, the Zephyrian child said to her friends. I told you the view was better from up here. The 3 children pressed their faces against the window, watching the ships come and go. To them, this integrated world was normal. They couldn't imagine a time when White Fox were feared and hunted. That's the future, Hannah said softly. A generation that grows up thinking this is normal. And it's all because one human wasn't intimidated, Mi-young said, joining the group on the observation deck. One human who decided to sit down and have a conversation instead of running away. Sora, added. Hannah smiled and put her hand on Taemin's shoulder. Sometimes the smallest acts of courage have the biggest consequences. As the artificial night cycle began on the station, the lights of passing ships looked like stars against the darkness. But unlike the cold, distant stars, these lights represented something warm and hopeful. They represented species working together, learning from each other, and building a future where everyone belonged. The age of fear was over. The age of understanding had begun, and at the center of it all, a white fox and a human stood together, proving that friendship could overcome any barrier, and that sometimes the bravest thing you could do was simply say, I'm not intimidated.